This talk was given by Roshi Rafe Martin, guiding teacher of the Endless Path Zendo, a lay Buddhist community in Rochester, New York. Join our practice, in person or online, at endlesspathzendo.org.
So today is Saturday, July 13th, 2024, and we will continue with Tangen Harada Roshi's Life and Zen Teachings, a really terrifically inspiring book. Throw yourself into the house of Buddha. So we are at chapter 20. They're all short chapters, 2 pages or so. And this is patience, always something worthy of looking into. There is a line from the sutra that says, "One who practices patience is a great being of deep strength." One who practices patience is a great being of deep strength. What is being patient? Patience, calm endurance, is doing what needs to be done without looking away. To put it more concretely, it is casting off selfishness. The Buddhas and ancient teachers have taught that the person who practices patience is a person of enormous power. But the trend is definitely going in the opposite direction, not toward being patient and enduring, but rather being self-indulgent and self-serving. It's never enough. It's never quite right. That is the basis of our culture and our civilization. Our civilization is one in which we seek to always have it easy, to have it be more comfortable. This world is one that demands patience. When you come to see things as they are, you will see that it is only humans who are so impatient. The whole world is practicing perfect patience. The pillar that holds up the roof stands tall, appearing to be nothing special. Suppose, though, that that pillar here convened in order to complain of being overworked, or that the pillars here convened in order to complain of being overworked and undervalued. Nobody ever says thank you. Suppose that they decided to fall down on the job, on all our heads. Boom. Then their work would be appreciated for the first time. The great Bodhisattva pillar is practicing patience. Buddha life directly revealed, working all the time for the benefit of others. The pillar never complains. The tatami flooring never discriminates against anyone, picking and choosing who can sit here. A single flower blooms with all its might for whoever happens to look at it. Everything is Buddha. Buddha is no objections, just pure, unbounded freedom. Everything is free. You might ask, is this pillar forced to stand hundreds of years in the same place free? Ask the pillar, and you will see a smile. When you understand things the way they are, you will appreciate how free I am. The lamp, the pillar, the cushion, the tatami, the candlestick are also kindly showing us that everything is our great teacher, practicing the paramita, that is the perfection of patience. Morning to night, night to morning, each being is simply dedicating itself and receiving the total dedication, the total support, and the perfect nurturing of all being. There is perfect dedication, perfect obedience. Obedience is another word that people these days don't like to hear. We think it and think, that sounds weak or spineless. Actually, there is nothing more precious than open-minded obedience. Obedience means a lack of solidity in the sense of separateness, a solid thing, like as if the self were a solid thing, separate, inalienably alone. a lack of solidity, of freedom from fixations. Genuine life is perfectly obedient, utterly open. It is a pure, direct response. When you hit the floor, whack! There is a sound. How straightforward, how immediate, how noble. You only have to awaken to what is genuine, to awaken and to be filled with wonder and gratitude, to know that you can't help but work for the sake of all being, just as all being is caring for you. How kindly you are cared for. Once you have seen into the whole, you can't help but feel immense gratitude. Your tears then will never be tears of loneliness and isolation. The burning fire that you feel will not be a flame of anger. It can't be spoken of, can't be imagined. But I must try to put some words to it. Anytime, anywhere, every time, everywhere, no matter what you encounter, whatever the time, place, and circumstances, you are touched by deep compassion. Boundless reverence and gratitude naturally arise. When you finally realize just how caring the universe is, it won't be a matter of 3 prostrations or 9 prostrations. Rather, there will be continual worshiping of everything and everyone you encounter. Ryokan, the great poet, a monk, beggar, calligrapher, when he was out begging, he'd see farmers in the fields, and he'd just bow to them. Just bow to them. Encountering anything. You can bow to the light switch. You can bow to the garbage can. You can bow to the cloud. It's really, it's all really genuine. Continual reverence will still not be enough to fully express what you have realized. I pray that you will dedicate your all, body and mind, in this kind of worship. How can you help but do this? How can you not welcome everything? All being is supportive, calm endurance, and great patience. There is no solidity, nothing fixed, no one who is here, no one at worship. There is just worship, just bow. There is only truth, one timeless truth. Continuous patience is reality. One who practices patience is a great being of deep power, of great strength, who cannot help but work for the salvation of all beings. Sentient beings are numberless. I vow to save them. The person who is living this vow is practicing calm endurance. Don't worry that there will be nothing for you to do when you have cast off all selfish desires. With each movement you make in accord with time, place, and circumstance, with each lifting and lowering of your hand, you can worship. Obediently, nobly, urgently throw yourself into your practice, determined to practice in this way. And your practice is precisely that of calm endurance. The true self is laid bare, revealed brightly in this one doing. The power of a daffodil. The power of a daffodil. If you set out to do it, it will be done. If you don't, it won't be done. When something isn't done, it's because you didn't resolve to do it. Can't, never can. Indeed, that's the way it is. This one truth is very straightforward. Can't, never can. Everybody has times when they feel and say to themselves, somebody like me, I just can't believe that I can really awaken. I can't believe that as I sit here just as I am a Buddha. We all make excuses for ourselves sometimes. It arises from a sort of intelligent questioning, but this is intelligence in a small sense. We are trusting in our own small judgment, our own small experience as being infallible. In this lifetime, I'm just not going to make it. Does that sound familiar? Do you find yourself making these kinds of excuses? There is a stone in front of my temple that says, Fukuozan Bukokuji. Under the foundation of this stone, we had to put in a thick layer of asphalt in an unplanned, sudden repair. The year before, daffodils grew there in the soil, and they bloomed beautifully. If I had remembered, I would have transplanted them elsewhere, but in the rush, we forgot about them, and their bulbs were buried under the thick asphalt. Then in the springtime, as I was passing by one day, I noticed a little light green sprout had broken through from under that asphalt that even a strong blow from a hammer could hardly budge. The delicate green sprout grew each day, becoming longer and longer, and then sending out a cute little leaf. 1 week, 2 weeks, 1 month passed. Then from the stem a flower emerged and beautifully bloomed. In the spring breeze, it gently waved. Every day I went to greet that daffodil in deep reverence. Where did you get such power from? Looking at that little flower, I couldn't help but cry. Where did you get such power? It was so straightforward, the tips of its leaves peeping out as they first emerged from the asphalt, sort of shy, but not giving in to the weight of the heavy material above them, not giving in to any obstacle. They gave their all and burst right up and stretched out, but there was no hint in them of haughtiness or self-importance. They weren't saying, I came up through this hard asphalt, I broke through, look at me. No notion of, I hate this hard asphalt, and I sure would like to be someplace softer. No taint of superiority, no hint of inferiority, just as it is. This pretty little daffodil's effort, its power, this force of the gentle sprouting of its green leaves from their bulbs, this noble strength, what is it? What is it? Just earnestly, obediently receiving all there is to receive, just growing, and not setting limits upon itself. We have to revere this one little daffodil, shining in the sunshine. It is truly noble, selfless. It is not difficult to break through the illusory wall of a separate self. What is difficult is to vacillate. It is so difficult to try to cling to your small ideas of, I can only go this far. In truth, there is no one who can belittle oneself. There is no me to limit you. You can awaken to the life in which everything is revered, because you have this power. You have the same power as the daffodil. The time will come when true nature reveres itself. Excuses will arise. My practice doesn't seem to cut it, to match up to what it should be. I'm not practicing the way I'm supposed to. Good, that's good. Just practice this, here and now, as you've been instructed. Don't listen or attach to any thoughts or self-judgments. Just do this practice. That isn't what it should be. Just do it, now and here. No matter what comes up, just accept it. Just step as you are shown to step. And that means just do this one step. 2 things here I'll mention. One is a quote that's always deeply moved me from the life of Saint-Exupéry, Antoine de Saint-Exupéry, the great flyer, aviator really, and writer, who in Wind, Sand, and Stars spoke about a friend of his who had crashed in the Andes. They were flying very primitive planes delivering the mail early on in the history of aviation. To crash in the Andes was a death sentence. was covered with ice. There were no trails. This guy walked out, was in terrible condition in a hospital, and Saint-Exupéry went to visit him, and he asked him how he had done it, how he had saved himself. No one else had ever come out of that. And his friend said, what saves a person, he said a man, but we'll gender neutral it, what saves a person is to take a step and then another step. It is always the same step, but you have to take it. Just thinking about doing Zazen, about counting or experiencing this breath or working on this koan, isn't the same as just doing it. It's always the same step, this breath, this dilemma, this koan, this gnawing doubt, this count, whatever it is for you, your practice. It is always the same step, but you have to take it. You have to actually do it, and that makes all the difference. That's how that guy got out of the Andes, where he had crashed. I took a step, then another step. It was always the same step, but I took it. The other thing about accepting whatever comes up, when my good friend Joe Plate was dying a month or two ago, and I was with him, what he kept repeating while he could still speak was a mantra he had created, which was, Lord, have mercy on us all. Lord, have mercy on us all. Lord, have mercy on us all. He just kept repeating it, taking the same step over and over, and it was his way of letting go of everything. You could see him working so hard. Letting go and accepting everything that was happening without any separation whatsoever. It was quite moving. In any case, there is no point in ever comparing ourselves to others or imitating others. Just obediently, openly accept it for yourself with care. Make every possible effort. And possible effort is an important point because real practice requires scrupulous honesty. We will always opt for comfort or for, what I can do and this is too, but be scrupulously honest. It doesn't mean to deny these things, but what you can actually do in your life, be honest about it and do that. Do what you really can do, not what you're simply comfortable doing, but be scrupulously honest to what you can put into your practice. And there's no beneficiary other than yourself and all beings, so you just do your best. Be totally dedicated, wholly endeavor. Don't hold back, cutting through every obstruction. You can do it because you have this power, this great power. Everything, right down to the tiniest weed that grows in the earth, each grain of sand has this power. Nothing is outside. We are all endowed with it. We receive it all. The power is yours always and forever. This is your true life. Give it your all. Emptiness, chapter 22. During the first days of the new year, we hold the Daihanya ceremony in the Hondo, the Zendo, or Buddha Hall. We take all 600 volumes of the Mahaprajna Paramita Sutra, and during the morning chanting, we fan through them. It's like an accordion, if you've ever seen monks do that. They take the sutra books are folded with a hard cover on each end, so they walk around when I was seeing it, it was in the Zendo, like an accordion. This is like fanning the pages of the sutra. Pages of sutra are flying in the cold morning air in front of our eyes. It's too fast for the intellect to understand what is written, but the wind spreads the true meaning of the teachings. While doing that, we short we chant this short gatha. All phenomena arise from causes and conditions. Arising from causes and conditions, they have no self-nature. Having no self-nature, they neither come nor go. As they neither come nor go, there is nothing to gain. There being nothing to gain, therefore all is emptiness. All being emptiness, we call it prajna paramita. This is exactly describing reality. There is a famous waterfall offshore here in the town of Obama, and boats go there to show people the white water falling like a cascading silk cloth. Have you ever stood by a waterfall and watched the constant flow? It's like, it becomes solid almost, like cascading silk cloth. There's strange patterns and solidity that comes from that constant flow. Life is like rushing water, like the rushing water of the waterfall. From a distance, it appears solid, but when you look closely, you can see it is in constant movement, continuous change, rushing like a cascade of long white rope. It seems to be there always, but it is not solid. The water you see in the waterfall has already rushed to the great ocean. Life is alive. It's not stagnant and it's not solid. It has no self-nature. This is perhaps the easiest way to describe life. It is limitless space, limitless time, never the same state, instant by instant by instant by instant, fresh and new. Birth and death, constantly continuing, constantly changing, now, here. There's a koan, does the baby have the sixth sense, sixth consciousness? And the response is, I think it's asked of Zhao Chu, and he says, moment by moment, like a ball on flowing water. Moment by moment, like a ball on the flowing water of a stream, of a fast-moving stream. When one is accord with time, place, and circumstances now, here, where is there any solidity? Fundamentally, no thing abides, even for an instant. There is no solid form. All limitless time is just this one instant. Body and mind earnestly in accord now and here. Everything is open and honest, altering form in accordance with changing conditions. Roshi Kapleau used to say we are always evolving and devolving according to causes and conditions. The multitude of forms that appear are not solid. There is just a constant dance of form and function. All phenomena arise from causes and conditions. Arising from causes and conditions, they have no self-nature. When conditions come together, a form comes into being. When conditions change, the thing disappears. Each dot, each speck is born of causes and brought to life in circumstances. Born of causes and conditions, the world is perpetually fresh and new. Certainly there is no fixed permanent self, and this doesn't apply only to things that you think are outside of you. The very same thing applies to you, yourself. There is no self. Yes, there are thoughts, but they are all learned from other people. When you were born, you didn't have any thoughts. Yes, there are feelings, but feelings never appear without an external stimulus. They always arise in relation to circumstances. There is not even my body. This body, if we were keeping track of it, would be 240 bags of rice, 450 bottles of milk, 275 carrots, 190 radishes, and so forth. Far from being an independent, separate self, everything is received, given. Trace your steps. How did you get here? How did you get here? Tangen Roshi's central question at one point he wrote was, why am I here? It's a question we all have, isn't it? Why was I born? Why am I on this earth? What am I doing here? What is my purpose? Why must I die? How did you get here? Step by step by step, you are dependent on the great earth. We are always thinking, I made this, I did that. Look closely at just one case of I made this or I did that, and you can see that it's all being received, coming together. All things arise through causes and conditions. Nowhere is there any solid and abiding self. There is simply a crystallization of indebtedness, a gift of heaven and earth, thoroughly protected and cared for, that can seem so hard to really believe and accept, given how much injustice we also know is in this world, how much cruelty, how much horror human beings have put upon one another. And yet, Tangen Roshi is speaking from a very deep perspective where it's absolutely clear. Everything is a gift of indebtedness, a gift of heaven and earth, protected and cared for. This can be very hard to accept when we look around in our world full of so much greed, anger, ignorance, hatred, violence. And yet, it is the deepest truth. And what a world we've created when we ignore this deepest truth, which doesn't have to be added to us, of course. When self-centeredness falls away by uniting with the practice, it's all there, as Ikkyu said. When I tried to remember, I always forgot. But once I forgot, I never forget. When it all falls away, it's all there. Everything that we've been seeking, with our violence, with our efforts, with all of it, scheming and planning. All of it is a dodge from what's actually always been here. But we have to forget ourselves to see and to experience that. And that's a hard pill to swallow, to accept that we can really be this cup of tea, be this cloud, be this sound of the air conditioner, be this smiling face, be this angry face, be this crack in the pavement, be the water in the toilet. Everything can be bowed to. Seeing into the reality of emptiness, no matter what happens, no matter when, where, or how, it is always only perfect, original mind. Nothing is in excess, nothing is lacking. Complete virtue, perfect merit, everyone is receiving all, no matter what form is taken, no matter how it appears. So how can anyone judge and compare and feel envious? Self and other are not to. No self, no other. This I that has been so miserable does not exist. There is nothing artificial in truth. In truth, all is truth. How intimate, how close. This one life can never be taken away, never harmed. This one truth is universal. This seems like so much gobbledygook. And then you think about Tangen Roshi's life and how difficult his childhood was, and how difficult his youth was, and how close to death he was so many times. And you have to think he's speaking from something very real. He didn't have an easy time of it. And yet he's saying, this one life could never be taken away, never harmed. How do we accept that? It seems impossible. Every day, everything appears to be changing. But as long as we continue to think that there are things that keep changing, we will see only change. If we are taken in by the surface, by superficial, ever-changing conditions, we will always have objections and anxiety. But the source of the source, the truth of truth, is immovable. It is universal. This is what we chant in the Prajna Paramita, heart of perfect wisdom, Hanya Shingyo. All things are essentially empty, not born, not destroyed, not stained, not pure, not increasing, not decreasing. All things are always just one, above and below the heavens. Just one self, above the heavens, below the heavens. I alone, the honored one, is the legend, or the legendary words Shakyamuni said upon birth. But of course, we're talking about the birth of a Buddha. Anytime a Buddha is born, when you're born as a Buddha, doesn't mean as a baby, but as a baby Buddha, there's just above the heavens, below the heavens, I alone, the honored one. And it doesn't mean me, the honored one. It means I, the I of everything, alone. There is no other. There's no duality whatsoever. All things are just one, above and below the heavens, just one's self. This life can never be taken away. This life is never lost. This life is never deluded. That doesn't mean I don't die. This person. So what does it mean? This I is never lost. This life, or this life is never lost. This life is never deluded. Above the heavens, below the heavens, I alone. No duality whatsoever. That means no self, which means no other. I alone, the honored one. Are the words of the Buddha upon his birth. But legend and myth are giving us a language of something much more intimate in reality and personal. It's our own nature that's being spoken about. And Tangen Roshi always speaks from that. It's very humbling to see someone who always is speaking from this perspective. True emptiness is wonderful existence. Emptiness is your nature and what arises. And flowers from this emptiness is truth. This emptiness is truly ever fuller and fuller, complete potential. In true emptiness, everything can be revealed. True emptiness, absolute emptiness, is not separate. And here's the important point. True emptiness, absolute emptiness, is not separate from this wonderful existence. The absolute and relative are one. Form is only emptiness, emptiness only form. It can become a Zen cliché, but what does this really mean? Emptiness is form. Form is emptiness. Where will you look for emptiness? Does it come from escaping form? Form is only emptiness. Emptiness only form. If you can truly see this clearly, that's the whole deal in a nutshell. That's really it. Form is emptiness. Emptiness is form. What's it empty of? A sense of separateness. Empty of me and all my stuff that I'm adding to this table, this computer, this sound of the air conditioner, this pain in my knee. All that stuff, it's really empty of all that. So where do you look for emptiness? True emptiness, absolute emptiness, is not separate from this wonderful existence. The absolute and the relative are one. One truth, one breath, this breath. Earth. Humans are the smartest of all animals. Well, sometimes one wonders, but we are using this intelligence based on a partial view. We see only differentiation. We see only 10,000 things separate and divided, each and every one in opposition to everything else. Our world is one of duality, is, isn't, gain, loss. We always prefer one of these opposites, and when things don't go our way, we are upset, irritated, or angry. We are always at war with what is. We are creating suffering for others, and in this way we are creating suffering for ourselves, because there is no other. If we would only create misery for ourselves, then it wouldn't be as bad. But that's not the case. We are causing everyone to be miserable. On this earth, humans are the beings who are the most arrogant and self-cherishing. This selfish indulgence drags down everything with us, wrecking everything on this planet. How many are the things we do that bring destruction? Whatever we do affects all things. In truth, we should repent and apologize before all beings. But not realizing this, we are trying to have our way with everything, and we are ready to harm whatever we see as standing in our way. We have reached a very dangerous situation. We could conceivably shatter our dear earth. Because we are mistaken in our vision, we think that the earth is our possession to make decisions for and to use as we see fit, when in truth we are here thanks to everything. Thanks to the earth, thanks to the sun, thanks to the moon. I don't remember if we've done the Thanksgiving address in the Zendo, Rose. Have we done that?
Yeah.
There's the Iroquois.
During our ceremony of gratitude.
During our ceremony of gratitude, Thanksgiving, we read aloud and go around the room with the Thanksgiving address, which is Iroquois. And so this is Six Nations people in this area, of course, across northern western New York State, giving thanks. It's done traditionally at every meeting, every group meeting among the Iroquois people, indigenous people of this area. So it's like we give thanks to Grandmother Moon. May she always shine, and how she controls the tides and affects women. We give thanks to Grandfather Sun and so on. We give thanks to the plants. We give thanks. So and each section ends with, now our minds are one. This is indigenous. It's not Buddhist. Now our minds are one. We give thanks to everything. And this way we become genuine human beings and can begin to function in that meeting, let's say, when decisions are being made, to think of how the decisions being made in that meeting will affect 7 generations from now. That was the foundation of logical thinking among the Iroquois. If a decision is made and it will be good all the way through the next 7 generations, then let's do it. But if even 7 generations from now, if we think down the road, and we can see it will cause harm, for 6 generations it'll be good, but by the 7th it'll cause harm, we won't do it. Now, that's interesting thinking. Thanks to the sun, Tangen Roshi says. Thanks to the moon, that's how we're here. We should live lives that respect the earth, respect all beings. That's how we're here. In any case, we are protected and cared for and given life by everything. We just have to shift our perspective from self versus other to the oneness of all things. And that's interesting, what many indigenous peoples have done in ceremony, in their kind of language. It doesn't mean they didn't have battles, they didn't have issues, they didn't have whatever, but there was a communal sense of shifting from a self-centered view to a view that recognized one's relationship with the plants, the bugs, the animals, the moon, stars, the wind, the waters. And that changes you as a person, changes the kind of way you live on a day-to-day basis. Zen has the same potential for us. I remember somewhere Peter Matheson saying originally he looked for Native American teachers. And Peter Matheson, who became a Zen teacher, the author of The Snow Leopard and many other terrific books, had very deep connections with Native communities. But in the end, he realized that to really practice those religions, you had to be born into native communities, whereas Zen was open to everyone and took us to the same place. It was a global religion, and anyone with the intention to practice it could practice it. And that led him to become a very serious Zen practitioner, eventually Zen teacher. So recently a spaceship took off in order to orbit just around 300 kilometers above the Earth's surface. Those aboard could look down from that small distance. When asked how it felt, an astronaut said, "Space is vast and completely dark black. There are bright forms, but no twinkling at all. Looking at the Earth in this way, how precious, how warm it is. This is the chance to appreciate and see life deeply in all its vitality." This astronaut spoke with the spirit of seeing and worshiping the Earth itself as the one mother of life. If you know anything about the astronauts, Edgar Mitchell was an astronaut who was completely transformed by his experience of going into space and circling the Earth. He became quite the mystic and created a foundation to look at these other ways of looking at reality. If you Google his writing on what he experienced looking down at the Earth, there was a moment where suddenly everything shifted for him. And he felt this incredible sense of have been brought to life by the Earth, and how much he owed the Earth itself and how vulnerable it was. So this is all completely accurate information that Tangen Roshi is presenting here. This astronaut spoke with the spirit of seeing and worshiping the Earth itself as the one mother of life. All things are friendly. As the seas deepen inwardly, as the mountains and earth deepen to greenness, lively, shining, bright blue, he was deeply moved and changed by this encounter. In its essence, all of life is in harmony, getting along, working together, mutually helping and protecting each other. Everything and everyone is doing its best, being itself, together with all beings. This abundance that we are blessed with, this reality, can't be expressed. But how wonderful it is to be able to deeply appreciate, right in your bones, this blessing that is our Earth. I wish everybody could have a chance to go up into space and look back, to be able to see how wonderful our world is, how superb, and beyond complaints. We are actually the whole universe as we are now, as we sit here receiving all of life, and we are responsible for the world. We can't help but answer to this great wonder, everything is myself. Please be careful how you think of what this means. Everything is myself. This tea is me. This sunrise is me. This cloud is me. This ant is me. What does this really and truly mean? And to really live this, how does that change us? And how insane our world that we live in then actually appears, the human world that human beings, we ourselves, have created. How completely insane. When you realize original mind, simple mind, ordinary mind is simply, this is me. This is me. This color blue is me. This chair, this is me. This fly buzzing around, this is me. What does that really mean? Is that egocentric? Or is it the complete opposite? What does it mean? In essence, some years ago, it appeared in the newspaper that American astronauts had located galaxies 13 times larger than our Milky Way by means of powerful telescopes. Since then, many other discoveries of vastness, discoveries of limitlessness have been made. I feel happy, so happy, when I read these things. Of course, everything is limitless. This limitless one truth is right here. It's not someplace on the far side of the telescope. This limitless, another way of saying it is, Earth is just as deep in space. When you think of outer space, Earth, being on Earth right now, is just as deep in outer space as any planet, any galaxy, any solar system. It's not just on the other side of the telescope. This limitless one truth is right here, and we are living it. It's a wonderful life. But what if you could see that this whole Milky Way is right here in your belly? This whole Milky Way is right here in your belly. He doesn't mean that as a concept. How does he mean it? But we go, oh, I couldn't really realize that. And again, he goes, really? What if it's your own nature? Why couldn't you realize your own nature? And yet, he holds a very high standard. And let's not kid ourselves. A very few even Zen teachers, even Zen masters, live what Tangen Roshi is talking about. But he does. My sense is that he did. The discriminating intellect doesn't begin to approach this, but on a little trip just above the earth, we have the opportunity to suddenly appreciate, even just through human emotions, what we have. This precious world floating in limitless space. The astronaut's view of life must have suddenly changed. Living here on this earth, we are lost in questions of this and that. Good versus bad, gain versus loss, delusion versus enlightenment, all caught up in discrimination and opposition. But we are able to do this practice and experience the inherent oneness for ourselves right here. It is not a question of being a few kilometers above the earth, appreciating it through artificial means like the astronaut. It is about being empty, not grasping, seeing the world as it is. You will be able to see this world as this big, this free, this precious, heaven and earth, same root, all the myriad things, one body. You can know it for yourself. You can be reborn to the world as it is. He means it. Every time we limit ourselves and think, well, I can't do that, we create an artificial obstruction. He truly and literally means it, that each of us is endowed fully with the same original nature, and there is no reason we cannot awake to it. It's simply up to us to resolve to do so, and then to do our best to put that resolve into practice, into action. So we'll stop here and recite our great vows for all.